Welcome back to this already the final segment of today's Price of Business. Shocking how fast time flies when you're having as much fun as I have every day doing this program. Going to end my segment with an interview with Kevin Barnicle with a company called Take Control. It's exactly like it sounds, but throwing an E at the end, takecontrol.com. But before I do that, I need to mention real quickly that today's program is sponsored in part by Efficient Wealth Management and Poor Guys Interactive. Kevin, welcome to the program. Kevin Barnicle, tell us about takecontrol.com.
Yes. Hey, Kevin. Thanks very much for having me. So as you mentioned, the name of the company is Control, and there's an E at the end, and the name signifies how we help out our clients, which is really controlling electronically stored information, or in other words, Word documents, emails, spreadsheets, all that stuff we have on our computer. And we serve an industry that's called information governance, which really what we've seen over the last 10 years is as organizations have gone from paper to electronic, the amount of data doubles year over year. And so when organizations have to deal with tracking that information and storing that information on their computers and have to react to it when they get sued or when they're investigated upon it, it's very expensive and time-consuming to do that. So our organization helps them reduce costs and mitigate risks associated with that entire process.
All right, so tell us how you do that.
So yes, a lot of times, I'll give you an example of a bank, Kevin, who, maybe you filled out a mortgage application with, and it has sensitive information around your Social Security, what have you. The challenge we see is a lot of organizations don't have great tools in place to effectively manage that. So it could be sitting on a file share, or it could be sitting on someone's computer. So the software tools that we leverage and we implement essentially creates a large index of the environment. So think of it kind of like Google. It'll go out and tell you what all this stuff is out on your computer and out on your network, and then organizations can start searching upon it and trying to find that smoking gun, so to speak.
Very good. What would you say is the biggest challenges that you face in your company, in your business?
In our business, right now, the challenge, we're growing at a really good pace, which I think is a challenge in itself. But as far as how we serve our clients, there's all these different new technologies that are being created and new different technology platforms such as the cloud that make it more challenging for organizations in general to go out and find all this information. And since a lot of times we're shoulder to shoulder in that process with them, it just kind of makes it more difficult to track all that information down. And just, the amount of data that grows, the pace that it's growing makes it challenging to keep up with. But for us, it's good for our business because it means corporations need assistance. In our world, in our corporation, keeping up with the demand, frankly, is part of our challenge. And just, making sure we're up to speed on all the latest lawsuits and technologies that are out there.
Tell me about the size range of your clientele.
Yeah, so we have, as you can imagine, the larger organizations, so the Fortune 1000, just the amount of documents, if you think about your own computer, Kevin, that you have all the, whatever it might be, emails, spreadsheets, pictures, whatever it is. Now imagine if you're a company and you have 10,000 of those laptops and you need to go and find this information, it becomes a larger and larger problem. So typically most of our clients are larger organizations, the Fortune 500s of the world. But we do deal, these lawsuits, you could be, even a 25-person company such as ourselves that Control, could be, litigated against. So it really is an industry that cross-serves most organizations. The folks that usually have to deal with it are those with a lot of employees, someone who makes something because they're frequently litigated against, or someone who's heavily regulated, such as the banking industry.
What is your sweet spot as far as size of companies?
I think our sweet spot is we focus on the mid-market and what we would consider 1,000 to kind of 5,000 employees. So for us as a boutique in this space and still an up-and-coming company, it's much easier to affect change in those organizations too, and get to the right folks as far as decision makers and make an impact on their organization. The larger companies are a little bit more bureaucratic, more challenging. Frankly, they focus more of a problem, but they're slower to adapt to it. So the smaller organizations, which 1,000, 5,000, obviously it's not small, but compared to the Fortune 1,000, are actually easier to work with to actually impact the changes.
Because of what you do, is it really important to get high level buy-in in the organizations that you pitch to?
Oh, absolutely. So we're we're in the technology industry, and our specific space is very interesting because it touches both IT and legal. So this is a problem that within the organization that both of these groups must meet. So whenever we are, kind of pitching, so to speak, any of these businesses, we really ask the customers to drag in the executives from both the IT organization and the legal organization because it does really impact them both. And frankly, a lot of times if it's just one executive from one group and not the other, we don't feel very comfortable because our technology does meet IT and legal. But absolutely, to be able to adapt change in any organization that we're working with, you really need someone to kind of sponsor it.
Yeah, right. And so a high-end buy-in is really important for you, which is why you probably have to find yourself in the mid-market more than in the enterprise level because it's harder to get up that ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I'm sure you talk to many different businesses. When you're dealing with a small organization, it is easier to actually get to the person who's making the decisions versus, a Fortune 500 company where, you've got tens of thousands of employees. Getting a meeting with a CIO in our world or a general counsel, which is the head lawyer, is very, very challenging because they've got a lot of other things consuming their time.
I'm looking there at priceofbusiness.com. Look under recent articles. You'll see Kevin Barnicle. I noticed you're also a fan of Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Work Week, which I am also. Your favorite lesson from Tim Ferriss?
Yeah, so just a quick background on me. I was working at a large organization when I read the book. I'm a big fan of the book, as you mentioned you are. And really, I think the title confuses people. They think the goal of it was to only work 4 hours a week. And the way that I read it was that be much more effective with your time. So if I had to pick one thing out of the book that, I've really heavily leveraged in my business, I started a company out of my house. I was a one-person company, and I knew I needed to be very efficient and effective with my time and, not focus on unproductive work. So in the book, it gives you some really great lessons as well as tools to help you be smarter about your time, focusing on what you can control and what you're good at and kind of shelving the rest to someone else. And as a result, I've seen tremendous success in our organization growing very quickly, doubling our revenue year over year. And I credit a lot of the lessons I learned in the 4-Hour Work Week to it.
It's very transformative. I know it is for my business. Hey, Kevin Barnicle, thanks so much for your time. By the way, you can learn more about Kevin at priceofbusiness.com. Look at the recent article sections. Look for Kevin Barnicle. Also, Take Control. It's exactly like it sounds, but you add an E after control. TakeControl.com. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate it.
When we come back tomorrow, we're going to have much more for you. Do want to remind you that the best content here, including this interview, will be found over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you spend it sensibly right here